Hi, I'm Eric.
I'm Todd.
And I'm Ryan.
And we together are the
CinAmigos.
Is that a thing? All right.
It is now.
Cool.
It could be.
We can do it every time.
Sure could be.
Today we are very excited to review Creed, which is a movie I knew literally nothing about going in. So Todd will tell you about the people that are important because Sylvester Stallone is the only one I know. He produced it.
He
Yes. Okay,
actually,
I was wrong.
And he acted also.
yeah,
He was in
to
it.
him, Rocky was done after the last movie, which was called Rocky Balboa, the sixth in the franchise. A lot of Rocky movies. 6.
6.
So technically this would be number 7, but this is not Rocky's story anymore. This is Apollo Creed's son, Adonis Johnson.
Lovingly called Donnie by
Donnie,
his friends.
yes.
Or
And
D.
Ryan Coogler, the writer-director, did Fruitvale Station with Michael B. Jordan, which was a Sundance hit and very critically acclaimed. He had this idea. He grew up on Rocky watching it with his dad. He thought there was more stories to tell featuring Creed's son. Approached Sylvester Stallone and said, "Hey, I have this idea." And Stallone was like, "You really respect this franchise. Let's do it."
Cool. So it's not a Rocky movie because I was just telling my wife today, hey, I watched my first Rocky movie. So
Well, I
why
mean,
not?
it's in the Rocky cinematic universe, if you
Okay.
will.
Right, yeah.
But it is definitely, he is a supporting character. It has the same tone as like the first Rocky movie.
Okay.
Good drama, good characters, not really about the boxing, but about the characters, which later Rocky movies became all about the training and the boxing, which had its fun.
Okay.
But
Okay. So not having been a Rocky guy, I watched this movie and at the beginning I felt like some disconnects where I was just like, I feel like I should care about these names and I don't.
yeah,
But I picked it up as I went along and it got really good as it
Yeah.
went. But the biggest thing was I was like, oh, this isn't about boxing.
yeah, exactly.
That was like the biggest thing for
Yeah.
me. So I'm glad to hear you say that. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I think I need to go watch some Rocky movies. So
Yeah.
I'm interested
Yeah.
in hearing what you guys think. I know you've seen most of them.
Yeah, you should probably see more Rocky movies whether you saw this one or not. Really.
That's true.
Good.
I mean,
It's an important part of film history
yeah, part of like American culture.
and American culture.
So I've seen Rocky 1, the end of Rocky 2, Rocky 3 and 4, but not 5. I have no idea. I know what happens in 5, but that's
And not
about it.
6, right?
And not 6.
Yeah.
I didn't like grow up with Rocky or anything. It's just something that I heard was good, and sometimes it was on TV.
Uh-huh.
Actually, it was a lot on
TV.
TV, and so I always picked it up. And I always thought they're really cool. The first Rocky is really, really great. Probably one of the best, probably one of my favorite sports movies ever made. And going into this one, I wasn't like, yeah, Rocky's back. Awesome. I'm so excited for Rocky. I just thought, well, I hope they don't do something stupid. I hope it's actually
Yeah.
good
And really ruined
and
it.
Yeah.
really ruin it.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like
Yeah.
if they really wanted to keep Rocky going, like the Rocky storyline, and keep Rocky fans excited, this was the perfect way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Where you kind of keep that same bloodline, I guess, going, the same kind of the same storyline going, but you also give it a whole new character, a whole new location. Well, it's still in Philly.
Yeah.
A whole new time period, and you just let it go. Who knows where the next ones are going to take us? Who knows what's next for Adonis Creed? I just thought it was the perfect way to do it. And overall, I just absolutely loved the movie. I came out so pumped to go boxing. I've never boxed in my life,
Let's
you know what?
join gym.
Yeah.
A training thing.
Right? We
Let's
could.
do it.
We
I'll punch
totally
stuff.
could. I'll punch stuff. I'll punch you right now. I won't.
Hit me in the face.
Hit me in the. I've never punched someone. I've never been in a fight. One of those guys who wimps out. So, but I came out of there just like, yes, maybe I could be aggressive sometime if I wanted to.
And we're seeing that as a positive thing.
Yes.
And so,
it's
yeah,
a
it's a
good
positive
thing.
maybe. But yeah, overall, I just absolutely loved it. Exceeded all my expectations. Maybe we'll talk about reasons why, but
Yeah.
that was.
I grew up on Rocky, watched the movies with my dad and my brother, so it's very nostalgic. I loved growing up. I loved Rocky 3 and 4 because they were very much a product of the 80s. Survivor, Eye of the Tiger,
The Cold War.
Rocky single-handedly ended the Cold War in Rocky
Fucking
4.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the speech. It's a great speech.
You can change.
Everybody can change. Anyways, but as I matured and I revisited Rockies 1 and 2, which as a kid I thought were boring, but that's because they were focused on character.
They're not about
It's
boxing.
weird. Yeah.
Love that.
And,
That's no
uh,
idea.
Yeah, it wasn't just like, greased up, sweaty
Mr.
training
Cheese.
montages. Anyways,
You missed the sweaty montage.
I did miss the sweaty montages and the really 80s music. But no, Rocky 1 and 2 I think are definitely the best films in the Rocky franchise. But honestly, I think Creed may even match or surpass the quality of those two movies. I loved Creed, and they took it back to what Rocky was in the beginning with Rocky 1, but new story, new characters. And the way they incorporated Rocky and the history, even what happens in the cheesy movies, because it's not like they forgot what happened in Rocky 3 and 4, especially 4, because that's when Apollo dies.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were trying to just like, oh, let's pretend those ones didn't happen. The way they had respected the franchise and told a new story, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's talk about the whys here and like what they did with the movie, because I would say for like the first, I don't know if I can quantify it, quarter of the movie, third, I was just like,
Yeah.
like I didn't care really,
Yeah.
and like I was like, oh, look at this kid, and like they didn't even really explain like the lady. I was like, I guessed that she wasn't his mom.
Yeah.
Luckily
Mhm.
they revealed that later for me.
Yeah.
And then, they brought up Apollo, and I was like, I guess he was a boxer.
Right.
I don't know. Like, so at the beginning, I just wasn't really hooked. Actually, I got really emotional when Sylvester Stallone, Rocky.
One and the same.
Yeah. it's
Oh,
just-
good.
Yeah.
When he's like going to his wife's.
Oh,
yeah.
side, I was just like,
Oh, yeah.
That
like
killed
texting
me.
my wife. I love
Yeah.
you. I love Rocky.
You okay?
I don't even know why.
And Rocky 2 will get you the same way.
Really? Okay.
Because when she delivers their first son, she like starts hemorrhaging, loses a ton of blood, and they're not even sure she's gonna make it. And he
Oh,
like
no.
stops training, like he won't leave her side. He won't even go see the baby. Like he is so dedicated to her.
Oh my gosh, that's
Anyways.
great. Because then later, like I get hooked on it, and all of a sudden it becomes this story about like our parents growing older and us supporting them, even though Rocky isn't Donnie's dad. But I thought that was really awesome, and I found I wasn't interested in the fighting at all. And the final fight scene, I was just like, I don't understand the rules of boxing. It doesn't look like he lost, so that's good. But I was more interested in the rest, and so
Yeah.
I don't know. So do the other movies do that? What it sounds like, kind of. But
Yeah. It's hard for me to try. Like I feel like Creed could stand alone on its own. It did a great job at just hinting at what happened before that was important. But at the same time, if you didn't experience it watching the movies, it won't have that much relevance to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So especially the relationship between Rocky and Apollo, because they were opponents in the first movie. Apollo Creed was the champion of the world. Rocky was a nobody, wasn't expected to go toe to toe with the champion, and he did. And then in Rocky 2, they have a rematch. And it's and Creed is just like, no, this guy's a chump. I'm the champion. I'm going to prove to him that was a fluke. And they fight again. And then in Rocky 3.
Oh, he doesn't die in 2.
No. And Rocky 3, Rocky is the current heavyweight champion of the world. Apollo's retired, kind of doing the commentator life sort of a thing. And they kind of have a respect for each other. Rocky kind of loses his way as far as being a good fighter. And Apollo ends up training him.
Oh.
So they have a whole new dynamic to their relationship in Rocky 3.
Oh, wow.
And then in Rocky 4, they're best friends. And they're both Rocky's semi-retired, but not fully. And then Apollo gets killed in the ring because he wants to kind of come out of retirement. He still feels like, I'm still a fighter. I need to fight. And I won't go into details with
Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago, yeah,
Wait,
the Russian.
Rocky does? Apollo does.
Apollo does, and then he gets killed. Rocky was in his corner as his manager, and Rocky also could have thrown the towel to stop the fight,
Okay.
and he didn't because Apollo told him not to, and it ended up resulting in Apollo's death.
See, that would have been nice to know.
That was
And
something
they hinted
mentioned
that in
yeah.
Creed, but it
Not
is one of those
enough,
things
though,
where
for me.
that was built
Yeah.
over 4 movies, their relationship,
Yeah.
even if they got cheesy in 3 and 4, like the Rocky and Apollo relationship was very fortified by
Yeah, they
4.
like talk about this third fight that was a secret,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they talk
Oh, yeah.
about. He's like,
And
I
that-
should have stopped that fight, and I'm like, the third fight.
Yeah.
Did
No,
I was like, did Rocky kill
Yeah,
Apollo? This
no.
whole time, I thought
Oh.
Rocky killed the kid,
Adonis.
Adonis's dad. So
Yeah.
I was like, this is a weird relationship.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this is really amazing that he's like forgiven him for this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I missed a big chunk. Here's the other thing. I kind of thought maybe like, I feel like, when the new Star Treks came out, I
Yeah.
feel like they kind of like brought a new generation of Star Trek fans into Star Trek and even got them into the older movies, possibly, right? And I kind of hoped Creed would do this for me, and I think I was just confused enough that it didn't. But I still feel like it's important for me to watch Rocky, so don't worry. I'm going to do it.
Oh.
Okay, all right.
But
Yeah.
That's good.
you look like you're going to say something, and I
No.
just started yammering. So there you go.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
But yeah, Rocky. I have nothing to say.
What did you like about Creed?
What about
Yeah,
Creed?
yeah, that's what-
Shoot,
Or
man.
what you didn't like?
Man, I like just about everything. I would actually agree the beginning was a little slow, and I thought they jumped into Creed like being a fighter, and he's quitting his job, and I'm like, wait, why is he doing this? Like, why? Like, it's because I have to fight. I've always been a fighter. I'm like, okay, fine. You for fighting in that prison, I guess. So I feel like the beginning was really slow. It didn't really pick up until Rocky showed up for me. When he goes to the restaurant, he sees Rocky, and Rocky's like, oh, you don't want to do this. You don't want to get in this life, blah, blah, blah. Your dad died or whatever. That's
And he doesn't want to be in that life either.
Rocky, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Sylvester Stallone was the heart and soul of the movie.
Yeah.
And having that history, which maybe you didn't have, wasn't quite there. Especially when we're going to talk about spoilers.
Yeah, go ahead.
When
Spoilers if you haven't seen it.
Stop
So
the video.
Rocky starts to get a little sick, and which is very
Which they show in the trailer, so that's...
What they do show in that trailer. Okay,
Yeah,
Rocky gets
they go
sick,
in.
and that was something that happened with Adrian and Mickey, right? I don't know. How did Mickey die?
I think he just had a heart attack.
Heart attack. Okay.
Paulie, I'm not sure, because...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Anyways,
Paulie at all.
Yeah.
But he gets sick, and it was something much like Adrian, and it brought up a lot of feelings, and when Sylvester Stallone he's in the locker room with Creed telling him about stuff, and he's getting emotional.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
when
yeah. That was a great scene.
I cried. I did cry. Did you guys cry?
I did,
Yeah?
yes.
You also?
Especially when he was just talking about how he wish he could trade, like he was ready to go.
Oh, yep.
You know?
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And like he
The
would,
gravesite, that
Yeah.
speech.
he was ready to
Yeah.
go. He wanted to be with Adrian again, and you're just like, oh.
If I could put everything in a bowl.
Yeah, and trade it for
Trade it for
just
one
one
more day.
more. Yeah. So Stallone showed chops that he hasn't shown since the first Rocky movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because Stallone's almost kind of like a joke now.
Yeah, he gets this reputation for being like a non-actor.
Yeah.
right?
But
But
Rocky was
feeling
his baby. He wrote it.
Yeah.
He wrote all of the movies except for this one.
Yeah.
And it was a Best Picture winner for the Oscars.
Yeah.
And he was a really good actor in it too.
He was very good. And that was actually another thing that I really liked about this movie was I feel like Rocky as a character in the first one, he's kind of like this like not immature, like just very innocent. Simple. You know,
Dim-witted
he
even.
invites Adrian over to like look at his turtles.
Yeah.
Like who does
I
that?
love
Like
Yeah.
the turtles in the tank. Like,
the turtles in the tank.
Yeah.
watching
That
them
was-
on the couch, get it on.
That was
Yeah.
totally a throwback to
Yeah, that was.
I
yeah.
assume there was significance. They
Yeah.
pan back on
On the
and
turtle.
I'm like, oh, turtle.
Yeah, he loves turtles.
Yeah, it's his
Okay,
thing.
didn't
Yeah.
know that.
So he's like this totally simple guy, and I felt like 3 and 4 they
Yeah.
kind of lost it. He was kind of like a big shot more.
He was like Stallone.
Yeah, he was basically still, but this one he was back to that guy, and it felt right. It felt,
Yeah.
That's
it
cool.
felt good.
I loved the whole dynamic that the director Ryan Coogler went for with telling this story of an illegitimate Creed child.
Oh,
And the struggle he's had with that, Adonis himself. He never knew his dad. He was born out of wedlock, and he's a fighter, you know, and he's afraid of taking on the legacy, but he also I think is somewhat wants to be a part of that legacy.
He has
So
such
I
a chip on
loved,
his shoulder about it.
yeah, I
It's
loved
crazy.
the conflict within him, and just how it totally like came to a melting point in the fight and after the fight.
I was gonna say and for me, it wasn't necessarily the acting that did it, but like just as far as creating a good story at the end when he wins and they're like, "What would you say to your dad right now?" You know?
Yeah.
He's like, I love you," and whatever he says, and then
Yeah.
people start cheering in the background, "Creed, Creed," and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, now he's a Creed,
Yeah.
right?" And that was a good
Yeah.
crier right there.
That was good.
That was good. Yeah.
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Ah, man, I just loved everything about it. Like, I really. It was so good. It just made me so pumped, and I feel like it was really well done. Ryan Coogler, he took a lot of liberties. Was very artistic about it. Cinematography was very
Mhm.
nice and
Yeah.
realistic. Didn't feel like a typical sports movie. I really, really, really liked it. I'm gonna give it a grade of a solid A minus.
Oh,
Wow.
nice.
Wow. Okay. Well, I really liked it. If I was going to give advice to viewers, I think I would say go watch at least a couple of the initial Rocky movies. I think you'll love it a lot more.
1 and
Sounds
2
like-
probably, I would say. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
you get a lot of the Creed history with watching all of
Yeah, yeah.
through 4, but 1 and 2 are.
Because of that, it's like a B plus for me.
Mhm.
Even though it made me feel really good and I cried, I needed the background. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really liked it. I'm gonna go watch Rocky now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, having been a huge fan of the Rocky franchise, I was really excited to see this. And even as much as I love the old movies, I wanted this to stand on its own, be its own story, and it totally did that. It was respectful of what came before, honored the legacy of Rocky, but told a new story, introduced new characters that we care about, and Adonis Creed's character, by the end, he pretty much had me in tears. The conflict he had within his character. And I love what Rocky says to him. There's always that great motivational line, that like gets the fighter going right when he needs it. And in this one, it was when Rocky's just reminding him how hard he's worked, who he is. He is a Creed. He even says that he's all like, "You're a Creed, and I love you, kid." And then the music kicks in. And I had chills all over. It was so good.
I did too.
Yeah.
That was.
I
awesome.
love this movie. I do think it was a tad too long. I don't think a movie like this needs to be much more than 2 hours. And I think this went into like 2:15 or something.
I haven't noticed.
But that's just a minor thing for me. I would probably give it an A- as well.
I was gonna say on the length, and I know that wasn't supposed to turn into a discussion, but I feel like I felt like it was a little long, but it was all like little details of things that like were
Yeah.
throwbacks to the other movies. So I feel like if you love
And-
the Rocky movies, that's not that bad.
And the
for
thing
you.
is, too, is like I didn't feel like any scene was not useful or wasting
Yeah.
running time, right? Like
Yeah.
they were developing the characters and that sort of a thing. But
Yeah.
so
And
I
let's
loved
not
it.
forget to mention that amazing fight scene
The one
Well,
take,
the first one.
where they
yeah.
just spin
Yeah.
and turn and down.
Yeah.
and
Oh my
up.
God.
and like how many rounds was that? It was a few rounds.
It was at least like I think it was the third round.
I think it was the third round, and it's one continuous take.
It was
and it
cool.
was so
Mhm.
cool.
And apparently,
That was really fun to
Michael B.
watch.
Jordan was actually getting punched in the face
And
in those shots.
apparently, it's a rite of passage in a Rocky movie. You have to get knocked out.
Oh.
And that shot, I think of him when he's sparring, and he like the camera like follows him
Oh,
like
he
straight
goes
to the
down
floor.
hard,
He goes down way
yeah.
hard. I think that was and it's they said it was in the movie. I think that's the real hit that knocked him out. So pretty crazy and cool.
Poor guy.
That poor guy.
Well, he's made his rite of passage.
Yep.
Hopefully, he doesn't have to do that again.
I hope
in this
I
one.
would be okay if they didn't make more, but I feel like they will.
I thought I heard
And-
that they would.
And I definitely want them to, only if like Ryan Coogler's doing it again.
Yeah.
And obviously Michael B. Jordan I thought was great in the role. So
Yeah.
he excites me as a young actor.
This movie hasn't convinced me that I'm a Rocky fan yet, but I think I might become one.
Okay.
So,
Anyone
so
can
we'll
be.
see.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching CinAmigos, and let's go watch Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of seventh movies that are really, really great.
Yeah.
Compared to the last few that we got,
Star Wars.
Star Wars could be that next one.
Force Awakens.
It's gonna be great.
Yep. Like
Yeah.
5 days, guys. Or 6 or something like that.
Something like that.
Super exciting.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.